God, the reason I love to say Jesus Christ. Before we get started, let me ask y'all a question. How do y'all like those books and stuff?
These books?
Yeah.
I like the format and thing. I like it, yeah.
Huh? Yeah. But let me ask y'all a question.
Yeah.
So we ordered the wrong smaller books. So would y'all like to order these bigger books?
Absolutely.
The print side is without a doubt.
It's a print bigger.
See that, so Dan said there's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
bigger.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a lot bigger.
Let my eyes see it.
It's not another other books that we had.
You don't see it, Deborah. See it in your eyes.
Yeah.
No, she's.
Yeah, that is bigger, Pastor.
No, I will only order enough to come to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the size of the old book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. We won't have to order what about 15, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, two.
No, I can see it from here.
You can see it from me. I can see it from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody,
No,
because some
I
people.
ain't got it on my iPad.
Okay, well, you got, yeah, you got.
Some people like small.
Yeah, and we still
And it needs
have,
something small.
yeah, for extra,
You
yeah.
like small, you know? Oh, yeah.
Well, but it's no need to, I just feel like, y'all were studying, and y'all come to Sunday school, and them small books, when I was trying to read them this week, I had to go to Amazon, order them.
There you go.
So yeah, that's what I done. It got here Friday, I was so thankful.
Hey, Pastor, you could also, if you got an iPad or you know stuff about that, you could actually order it for your iPad too.
Yeah. But I the format and everything, I was pleased with though. So, on this month, we'll be discussing leaders must set the example in worship. It's very important. Yes, sir.
You know how you normally ask me to read something?
Uh-huh.
Don't do it this morning, please.
I'm gonna do it for sure, man.
Can't see it.
Yeah. But this month, and if y'all read in the beginning of the book, it shows you, it's more like an old format. Leaders set worship example. So we're gonna be talking about leaders in this month, during this month, how they set them. It's very important for them to set the worship. It's very, and that's our structure. Deacons lead the devotion, they the leaders. They said it's very important for them to set the tone. Abraham builds an altar. Devotional reading, Philippians 4th chapter, verses 10 through 19, background scripture, Genesis 12 and 13 chapter. Genesis 13 chapter, verses 8 through 13, we will be reading from. The key text, Abraham removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebrew, and built an altar unto the Lord. Genesis 13, chapter, verse 18. Let us begin reading one verse apiece.
And Abram said unto Lot, let that be no Christ. I pray thee, between me and you, between my earthly and thy earthly,
Man, is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. If thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left.
And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plains of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar.
Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves one from the other.
12, Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the city of Pain, and pitched his tent for Sodom.
13, but the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly.
The Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thy eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward.
15, for all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever.
16, and I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered.
Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abraham removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plains of Mamre, which is in Haran, and built there an altar unto the Lord.
That's in the gospel. So the lesson aim says, after participating in this lesson, each learner will be able to outline the events that led to Abram building an altar, explain the significance of Abram's action, and create a physical reminder of time when God worked in his or her life. Okay? Brother Lewis, read that lesson context for us.
Since the day Adam and Eve were expelled from Eden, the fact of humanity's sinfulness has been nothing new in any era. It was and is a persistent problem. Thus, it was left up to God to restore creation. The divine restoration plan started in Genesis through a series of covenants and promises made to 75-year-old Abram and his wife, Genesis 12. Their descendants, the nation of Israel, would be the instrument through which God would send the Messiah into the world to inaugurate the new creation. Jesus fulfilled God's cosmic design. Through Jesus, a person can become a child of Abraham, joining the family of God by faith rather than physical birth. Galatians 3:7. Compare Romans 4:16. Abraham, known as Abram in today's lesson, is a hero of faith. Hebrews 11:8-12. He is described that way not because he was perfect or sinless, but because by faith he left his home, was called to do so by God. Genesis 12:1. God's covenant with Abram included promises of land, progeny, and blessing. It took centuries for all this to become a reality. The conversations between God and Abram that began in Genesis 12 are instrumental in revealing the development of a personal relationship between the two. But the text under consideration for today deals with a distraction detailed in Genesis 13:1-7. Abram had decided to take his nephew Lot on the journey to Canaan, Genesis 12:5, a decision that resulted in problem after problem. One such problem is the immediate context of today's lesson. And then it says in very fine print, Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tenants, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, and there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. Genesis 13:5-7.
So in this text, you notice now, Abraham had just come back from Egypt. Abraham had went to Egypt, him and his wife, and that's when he told the lie that Sarah was his sister. And so the king blessed Abraham with all his cattle and everything. And so now Abraham comes right back to the same place where he was at, where his daddy raised him at. But God told him that he wanted him to go to Canaan. And that's what he wanted. So he has to get up and move, because he wanted him in Canaan. And notice now in the text, the writer here, he's trying to show you the problem before we got to worship. This is what the text is about, worship. And Abraham sets the example on worship. in the midst of the problems he still at the end of the day built an altar to worship God. That's at the end. But we're gonna, because if you look at the text, you will say, well, what is he talking about? He's really trying to bring out the issues that we have before we get to be able to worship God. And so because of that, he brings out those issues. Then that should make us realize, even in the midst of our own problems, we should be able to worship God still.
Yeah.
And worship Him in spirit and truth. And it shouldn't be just a routine worship.
Yeah.
We should be willing to give our all in all to Him.
Amen.
So because in the beginning of this 13th chapter, it talks about how Abraham and Lot had an issue. Abraham returned to the land promised to him. And so this land had been promised to him and his descendants. And so, and God allowed things to happen in our lives for His purpose. And we just got to learn to trust Him enough. Yes.
I want to make a point too. You see where his name was Abram first. There was, and that I think is interpreted as God is exalted. And then when God promised him what he promised him, he changed his name to Abraham, which just means father of a crowd or father of a multitude.
Right.
And that was his covenant that he made with Abraham, that he would be the father of many. This point there.
That's good. You know, so in verses 8, when it said Abraham offered, how can you worship if you're arguing? And that was the issue right here. Abraham, so to avoid arguing, what did Abraham do? He said he let Lot make the decision. You know, even though he was the woman in charge. You know, Abraham just told Lot, you take your people and move her. But he didn't. He gave Lot the choice. You go to the left, I go to the right. If you went to the right, I go to the left. You know, Abraham, and that way he was trying to keep peace. And we allow little issues like that to break up the family. And that's what we should never do. This is a good example for any time we have a problem. Because Abraham had enough patience and trust in God that he was willing. Well, like you go whichever way you want, but let us not be fighting one another. And our husband don't need to be fighting. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say in the introduction, it talks about wisdom or experience, and on down and after it talks about the animal, the hyenas and the penguins. But it says Abraham is an example of how the older generation can teach someone of a younger generation by offering choices that result in the older person making sacrifices. It's been said that there are 2 ways to learn things, through wisdom and through experience. Wisdom is when you learn from the mistakes of others. Experience is when you learn from your own mistakes. But I thought that was
Amen.
That is so true. Because and this younger generation don't want to take the wisdom. They want to learn it through experience.
That's right.
And an experience will teach you. But those are some of the parties you don't have to take. You know, the same way I said, we don't have to invent no new wheel. All you gotta do is you make a few changes. But you don't have to. Ain't nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
We have to go ahead and, you know, this is our first step. When I was at work, they were telling me how to start. And like this is our first start. And I'm telling you, back in 1997, we went to new controls. I'm telling you, from December to February, we were gonna start up every day. It seemed like if I put them on that night, they took them on that day. And this went on for 3 months until we finally got those controls straightened down. But people act like that's the first time we ever done something. And we still have people like that in the church sometimes. That act like this is our first go-ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make a point. In the New Testament, Jesus, you gotta be careful what you ask for. and know what you're asking for. God wants you to be specific when you ask for something. So, there were people working, and they set the price. We'll work for this amount. So some of them started early in the morning and worked all day.
Yeah.
That's right.
Some of them came late in the afternoon,
That's right.
but they got paid the same thing.
Yeah,
The ones in the morning complaining about the ones that came in late, saying, we've been here all day, how come they get the same pay as we do?
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus said, that's what you asked for.
Yes.
He said, this is the price that you set, and be happy with that. You know, you negotiate up front, and then you settle. You can't compare with what your neighbor is getting
Yes.
when you decided yourself that this is what I want to be paid.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the Joneses.
That's right.
You know, don't worry
That's
about
right.
You know, people we just
Yeah, and that's a good example right there, because salvation is for everybody.
Yeah.
Salvation is for everybody. So don't get mad at that person who ain't doing that.
Come on.
But they still saved.
Come on.
You know, don't get mad at that person.
Right.
You know, don't get mad. But now that person, you know, because when we get to heaven, our rewards it's gonna be something different.
Yes, yes.
But and that's what we gotta understand. That our work will not be, our labor will not be in vain. You know, He's gonna be glorified, and we should want to serve Him, but we want to serve Him in harmony. See, Acts 2nd chapter, on that day of Pentecost, they always go back and say they was on one accord. And see, this is what we as believers have to be, on one accord. We got to have the same. God has given us a vision, and we got to say, let's put it to work. Let's execute the vision, the mission, to give God glory. But in the same way, in our national convention that we split 4 or 5 times, that's the problem, because everybody wanted to do it their way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Abraham was a prime example here how to be humble about it and taking the back seat. Because he knew what God had promised him.
Yeah.
And if God has promised you that, regardless what man says,
Come on.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
What then he has said.
I was just listening to what you were saying about the rewards, and even though we go to heaven, you know, He already said what the reward is. So there won't even be a Johnson about who give rewards and who didn't, how many crowns you get to throw at Christ's feet. You know, all that's still gonna be wiped away.
Yeah.
So we need to think about that now. We can't be worried about what Johnny has.
Yes, sir.
You know, because.
Yes, sir.
But what you said is that the problem ain't then, it's now.
Yeah.
Because people get just, she always doing stuff. She need to sit down somewhere. Well, you gotta work while you can.
Wow.
Tomorrow's not promised.
Yeah.
And everybody's job is different. Everybody's assignment is
Yes,
different.
sir.
But I'm telling you, those who don't do nothing are the very ones who do the most talking.
Come on. Say that.
They don't want you to do it because they don't want to do it.
So true.
The sons of Zebedee,
Yeah, exactly right.
you know, they wanted to be recognized.
Yeah.
Who's gonna see that the right hand of Jesus and the left hand of Jesus?
Yeah.
Jesus said, be careful what you ask for. You don't know what you ask for. Because I'm getting ready to go through something, and for you to have both spots, you're gonna go through it too.
Wow.
You know, they didn't recognize, but you know.
In verse 9, it talks about to avoid crowd. Let's keep the peace to worship. You know, I tell folks all the time. I said, now be careful. You know, you always be careful when you ask for it. I said, you know, the more members you have, the more headaches you have.
I hear you.
You know, everybody look at the building and the paycheck, but you got more people to worry about.
Say that.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah. So Abraham said here, let's avoid this issue because we too large now.
Yeah.
We too large. We got plenty of land throughout the earth. So let's divide this up. And that's a real issue right there. When there's so many folks there, and you got a problem. I don't know if y'all have been in a tight place, and you don't have no elbow room or nothing. So can you imagine that all the cattle were getting mad? So they didn't have no, they had to fight for who's gonna get the grass first, who's gonna eat first. Then the herds was getting mad because it seemed like that animals wasn't getting taken care of. And so it was an issue for the flood.
It gotta go back to what Sister Daniel said on Tuesday, how that land was divided.
Yeah.
She said it had to be a lot of land for every person to get their stuff. Well, this last one, what you're talking about right now, remind me of what she said then.
Yeah.
I know what she said then too, though.
Well, we haven't got there yet. Yeah, because, they in the land, but they hadn't received it yet.
No, I'm saying
yeah, but it was plenty of land. Now notice now, they hadn't got to Canaan.
Yes.
They were right outside of it, but they was already there. And notice. This is before slavery. This is before they got to Canaan. They was already there where God wanted them to be.
Yeah.
But through their disobedience, through their unfaithfulness, they had to not only stay in Egypt in bondage for over 400 years, they had to stay in the wilderness for 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's only because of disobedience. And that's why God has given us some things right here. But because of our disobedience, we don't get to receive it.
Okay.
Any question, comments? So that and when we think about this text, so this is the writer trying to get us to understand about because you got to worship. Not just we, the leaders got to set this example. And so Moses took the lead here. He took the lead.
Abram.
Yeah, I said Moses. Yeah, I've been talking about Moses so much. But Abram right now, he took the lead on this issue. He took the lead because he saw what the problem was. And man, he trusted God. Because God had already tested him a few times. And he had came through the test. But we got to realize God prepares us for the journey.
Yeah.
Look at Lot. Lot's choice. It says in verse 10, and Lot lifted up his eyes and behold, all the plains of Jordan, there was well water everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Eden, as that comes until Zion. Lot picked the best part. But he thought he was the best. See, sometimes we gotta understand the grass might look green. But how y'all ever see when a new house is built?
Yeah.
They put that grass at the grow real fast, where they can sell the house.
Yeah.
And 2 months later, it ain't never dirt. Yeah. And that's about how it was. Lot looked over and saw all this, but the temptation was too great. We gotta understand. Lot put his family in danger. As a leader now, it was his decision. And he should have kept his family away from Sodom and Gomorrah.
Did they know about Sodom and Gomorrah?
It was there.
Yeah.
It was there.
Yeah.
No. It was there. Now, whether or not they knew.
No, I'm saying they know how wicked it was.
Yeah, they knew about it.
Okay.
Yeah, they knew it was wicked. But because it wasn't like, it's just like in 1950s. If you was black, you knew wherever Judy Joint was. Yeah. You might not have went there, but you knew wherever Judy. And I'm gonna say this today. Even today, if you can take you can take somebody who like the streets. You can take some. I don't care where you take them from. They'll find that hole in the wall.
Yeah.
So that's what they like.
Yeah.
And the same way, because Christians ain't no different. If you take a true Christian, put them in any city you want to, any area, they're gonna find a church.
Yeah. See?
They're gonna find a church. But it's your DNA.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so Lot should have kept his children away from that city.
Yes.
But also, let's let you know, when you look at it, Abram gave Lot the choice. But God said, what's for you is for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so no matter what Lot, you might be scared that he's gonna pick the spot God has for me. No, because what God says for you is for you.
Amen.
So I look at it that way, that spot was gonna be Abram's regardless, because that God said it was for him.
And they consider later on.
Wait, let me say this, man.
Consider later on.
Yeah. And see, this is how God bless it. All of this land eventually belonged to
He said that later on.
Yeah.
On the east side of it, yeah.
All this land.
Yeah.
You know, because if you notice, man, Lot's selection in verse 11, it said that then Lot chose all the plains of Jordan. The plains of Jordan, Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves, the one from the other. Well, now we in the book of Deuteronomy, on the east side of Jordan, who resides there?
Half of Manasseh and the other two.
Half of Manasseh, Reuben, and Gad. So 2.5. So this land that Lot's in, it's still an Israelite, so it ended up being Israelites. And that's just, and see, this is not just no plan B or plan. This is the plan. And God had a plan already written out. And we just gotta follow, just trust him.
Teach.
And so
Yes.
Lot is in the plan. Lot chose the land on the east side. That was his choice. And Abraham was good with it. And see, now Abraham would have been wrong if he had got mad. You took the bet.
Thank you.
But Abraham didn't. You know, we gotta remind us to be humble, to be Christ-like. And Abraham is a picture of humility right here. Because you know, I sit on my bed and watch TV, and when I walk in the house, somebody like, I take that with control. I put it what I want. And they say, I was watching that. I said, yeah, okay. Go watch it. Now I'm probably wrong on that, but it's my house.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna watch. But we can't be like that. You know, we can't be like that. We can't. And listen, Abraham done the same thing. He said, I'm not giving you that lot. I'm not giving you. You're gonna take what I give you, and that's all. But we can't be like, you know, Abraham wasn't. And you know, and that's why I think, his destination in verse 12, Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and you know what? And that's the land that God promised.
Yeah.
And Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and that was the problem right there. We ain't gonna get to that, but we know that Abraham prayed to God, chapter 18, and asked God to spare the city. He went from 50 righteous men down to 1 righteous man. But if there be any righteous, and that righteous right there is just the meaning saving folks. And a lot of people don't hear, you ain't righteous, I'm saved. And that's what that word means right there, righteous. Because only through the blood of Jesus Christ will make us righteous, not ourselves. So, but his destination. Now notice, both of them reached their destination, and that's what we struggle with. We understand Abraham reached his destination because he thought that was the promised land. But Lot had to carry out God's plan too, and his plan was for him to go to Sodom and Gomorrah. Because we don't understand God's plan. But for Abraham to get where he had to be to worship him, he had to go through some storms. See, why do we go through storms and trials to get us to the place where we have our testimony?
All right.
And, you know, God just don't want us to stay here with our testimony.
Yeah.
He wants our testimony to work. Because why we was created? We was created that we might give him glory. The angels had never had to cry. The angels never had no pain, suffering. But God has allowed us to do all that our testimony, our witness, will be a whole lot different. And that's why he takes Abraham. You know, you think about it. When Abraham finds out about what happened to Lot, you know that hurt him. Yeah. That hurt him. In the course of comments, his environment, verse 13 talks about, but the men of Sodom were wicked, sinning before the Lord is seen. Now see, they was wicked. They knew they was wicked. Why would you want to go there?
But he saw the water, and he thought he was stronger than temptation. Like all of us think we can do more than we can do. And then we all agreed of, ooh, look at all that fresh water, wow, look at my animals and my plants and all that's gonna look like. I ain't worried about that, man, I ain't worried about the weak people, because I got all this fresh water and land.
And plus I ain't gotta move, like, ain't gonna have to go somewhere to find all this stuff. I can see it where it's at right now. Me and my family going right over there.
But it's always about me.
Yep.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah, and that's the problem right there. Whenever you put I first, then you know you're doing wrong. Because we must suffer. We gotta take the back seat. You know, and that's what Abraham was doing. Abraham took the back seat. He didn't say, well, I'm gonna choose this. He gave him the choice. And that's the difference between the two. Lot, you almost said Lot heart was already messed up. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Because this is your uncle who had raised you. You gotta have more respect for him in the beginning. And when you saw the problem, you should have came to him then and tried to rework out the problem then with him. But now, Lot was selfish, and he thought about him and his family. What was best for them in the comments. But then the lesson gets where the writer really wants to talk about the worship. This is where, see, we see the problem, and all these problems either gonna do one or two things. It's gonna keep us from worship, or it's gonna make us a better worshiper. It made Abraham a better worshiper. That's what the writer's trying to bring out here. He's trying to give us a real life to truly worship God. As a leader, you gotta let go of some of the issues. One of the biggest problems having business meetings, and some words we say. That after we really in the middle of this that night, let it go. We made a decision. How we let it go. We don't need to let it carry on over and continue to let it call it a festival, and it'll keep us from truly worshiping God.
Tell the truth.
And that's what the writer's trying to call. Because this issue with Abraham and Lot could have kept Abraham from worshiping him. But he had to let it go. And that's what the leaders have to do. So God promises. I'm on page 14 now. God promises. Verse 14 and 15 talk about the land he promised. God confirmed his promise to Abraham. God promised the land to Abraham and to his descendants forever.
I'll wait for you to get there. But going back to what Sister Daniel had said a while ago, though, too, what God got for you is for you, and what God had for Abraham was for Abraham. Because it said, verse 13, Lot made a choice. What the 14 start out with, and the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up your eyes. Now, I'm going to show you what I got for you. Because we go down there, it said at first it was 66 miles. But then it said, Abram can see 13,700 square miles.
Yeah, so think about this thing. So on Tuesday, you remember everything else on Tuesday? From the north to the south, from the east of Jordan to all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. So when you think about, and God showed Abram this, and showed Moses this.
Yes.
And he showed him two different ways now.
Exactly.
He took Moses up on the mountain and let him look all over it. But the text really don't say how he really showed Abram, because you can't see all that land. You think about it. You got to be up high. How many square miles was it?
The second time was 13,700.
You be happy to see a mile. Really, I don't know if y'all been on some of these bridges. The bridge in North Virginia, especially one down in Louisiana. When you get on that bridge, you look around and you don't see no lane.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm trolling that.
I've been there.
I don't like to drive over it. I don't like to drive it. If I'm gonna go, I'd rather be slick.
When I went with Sean was in the Navy and I went on bridges and stuff on the water. And then I got in the middle lane and I slid down and I was saying, amazing. I don't wanna look left or right.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
Yes,
My
yes.
sister, now my sister, she took stand on high bridge. She stopped in the middle of the bridge one time, South Carolina. We on the back seat, you gotta keep on going now.
Yeah.
But she was the,
Cause that water felt like you could just right under,
yeah,
like
the
you.
Charles.
Yes. Like you just stick your arm
No,
out and
no.
touch that water. That's like
But
to
that,
the bread.
but when you think, and I thought about all that land.
Mm.
You know, when you know, Abram was able to, God showed Abram, look at all, this is all gonna be yours and your descendants. And that was a promise, and God kept his promise. Now, in 19, he whooped them though. He didn't, they did wrong, he whooped them.
Yeah.
But he was true to his word.
Yeah.
He kept his promise. And then he says, and I will make thy seed as the dust. This is word. Now, his seed.
Yeah.
And we don't think about this sometimes. But his first son, Ishmael, by Hagar. And he's the father of the mother, Ishmaelite, Muslim, actually. And then he had Isaac. And Isaac had Esau and Jacob. And Esau was the Edomites, and Jacob was the Israelites. But then Samuel died, and he goes on to marry another woman, Keturah, and he had some more children. And so and God blessed them all. God blessed them all. So when we think about the father of many nations, he was the father of many nations. See, this is why they all know who God is. They all came from Abraham. They know who God is. But the problem is they don't want to recognize Jesus. They don't want to deal with his son. Without the son, you can't get to the father. So God kept his promise. And God blesses his descendants. And God blesses the descendants greatly. You think about it. Out of those children, look at the Israelites. We don't have to worry about none of the Israelites. When Moses took the Israelites from the land of Egypt, it was over 3 million folks marching through. And TV and all that don't do that right. When it's marched through the rest of the city, they don't do it justice. It wasn't no 35-minute walk, man. You know, it seemed like it was a long walk.
Yeah.
And you know, when they left Egypt, they didn't get to the Red Sea right away now.
Right.
They had to camp a couple of days. Because you know, they had some wagons, they had cattle, and they had some older elderly people. Yeah, and they had children. So you know, that's what I tell folks. If you ain't read that Bible, you'll think what it said on TV is true. But it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And so God blessed Abraham, blessed him greatly. But in verse 7 he said, arise, walk through the land of the length of it and the breadth of it, and for I will give it to you. This is what he told him. So Abraham, we read the text, right? Abraham walked the whole land. And this must took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the text says he walked the whole land. Now we see just how much it was. East of Jordan, that's where Lot was. But then all on the other, from the west of Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea, north, to all the way down to the Dead Sea, that was a lot of walking. Now I'm gonna tell you, back in, I was probably about 12, 13. Parks was still really small. You know, we didn't have no vehicles. We rode bikes from Paradise Hill Road to Birchwood. And that was a long ride. I could only imagine walking that. Yeah, I could only imagine walking. You know, but think about it. And that's why I said the same way with Harriet Tubman. Well, she only traveled 80 miles. 80 miles, but 100 miles. And I just said, like, from Clarksville, 81, to the other side of Murfreesboro, 80 miles, 100 miles. We talking about over 13,000 miles. It's a bit, you know, we sometimes we don't look at the magnitude what God really is doing, you know, how he brought us and stuff. But he kept them, and he kept them all together. Any question, comments? And so, as he told Abraham's reception of the land by faith, God wants Abraham to explore the land of promise, to walk through it as if it was his already, though he did not have a record of ownership to land. But God will let him know this is what you're gonna have. And so, so that was I thought that was very important for him to allow Abraham, just as he allowed Moses. Moses got to see it, but Abraham actually got to put his feet down in it and walk through the whole land. God is really a blessing, a good God. He could, you know, when we think about just like, so what did Abraham do in verse 18? 18 respond by building an altar. Now this is what, you know, because Abraham sets this out. This is what this is where he gets the main idea from, right here in verse 18. He sets the example. He said, after God had done all this, the only thing left for me to do is worship him. Yeah. So when we think about it, we got to be able to look over our lives and just see why do we come to church?
Yeah.
Why do I want to worship God?
Yeah.
Who brought me this far? Who made a way? You know, we celebrated 150 years last week. And you know, we had not been here 150 years, but we can see, and that's why I tell folks to take pictures, and cause we got to continue to tell the story. Yeah, because we let the legacy slip away from us. But we ought to have pictures and articles about what happened through this storm. You know, when they was burning crosses on churches, you know, it didn't happen to us. Yes, and see, if you notice that, they want us to act like that slavery, and second they act like that never existed. And God told Moses to remind the folks that who brought them through. And that's the same thing we do. If we act like these days didn't happen, then our children won't realize there is a God. And that's why it's so important. But at the end of the day, what Moses do? He built a tent and worshiped God. Abraham. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I broke Moses.
You gave him about 400 years.
Abraham built a tent. Abraham built a tent and worshiped God. And that's very important for us to realize. The first thing he did, he didn't worry about doing nothing but worship God. Go ahead,
yeah, you know, it's so easy for us. We grow used to things. We take things for granted. You know, the Bible tells us that the birds are cared for.
Yeah.
You know, they don't create anything. They just use what's available, and God allows them to recreate and flourish. And if He does that for the bird, how much more will He do for us? He made us in His image, not the birds. He created the bird for the birds, but He made us in His image. So how much more is available to us if we just look around and appreciate what's there? We just take so many things for granted.
Yes.
You know, tomorrow's gonna come.
Yes,
it ain't promised.
That's
it didn't come for somebody. Somebody didn't get to see today.
That's exactly
you know, but every day, wake up with Thanksgiving.
Yes.
You know, just Thanksgiving.
Yes. Every day is
no comment. No, it's
Part of this lesson I was thinking about how Abram and Lot did the divide, and how he was saying we take so much for granted. We have what we have, and sometimes we're not very giving or sharing of what we have for the sake of I got mine and I'm gonna keep mine. But the more we give, not just in the measure of tithing, but in the measure of sharing our health, our strength, our wisdom, in the measure of sharing any and everything that God blesses you to give, you're not giving away anything. Because He will compound that back. If He gives you the responsibility of having it, and you give it, He'll never let you run out.
Wow.
Like flipping house.
Yeah.
There's an investment out there, there's something out there, you can.
Exactly.
Not gonna be accepted.
But question was man, he won't have to look too many things like that. I have to get back with him in a second. But
We missed you last week, Brother Love, I'm just.
I was here.
Yeah,
I just online.
Yes, I missed.
But Sister Johnson, what you said is so true about that. It's so true. So do me a favor. On page 15,
Yes.
read both of them. That was then, and then this is now. And I'm close out.
That was then. God first word to Abraham that Abram was a direct fit to leave home, Genesis 12:1. He left his extended family behind as he journeyed toward and within the land God had designated. God deliberately separated him from his past to create a new nation from him, a nation to usher in the Messiah. We may wonder how homesick Abraham became from time to time. We may also wonder if Abraham ever wished he had taken Lot along. The importance of Abraham lived about 2000 BC. His salvation history should not be overlooked. His name, Abram and Abraham, appear on the pages of Old and New Testament nearly 300 times, and about 28% of those occurring in the New Testament. In Hebrew 11, Abraham is enshrined in Faith Hall of Fame. His example has much to teach us yet today. This is now. In a sense, Abraham's story is ours as well. God wants us to know the Messiah he has sent. But for that to happen, sometimes God has to separate us from relationships, events, jobs, etc. that stand in the way. And in Mark 28:31 and Luke 5:27-28. Those separations may come either in order that we may know Jesus or as a result of knowing him. Those who have experienced such separateness may have an inkling of Abraham's faith. His willingness to place faith in God before all else makes him stand apart, a hero of faith. Hebrews 11:8, and then Revelation 3:9. God expects similar faith even today. When we believe we are called to a different situation, God may not reveal all the details of how to do so and why. If he did, then there would be no room for faith. We should not be surprised if our journey involves taking a Lot along. In the Genesis narrative, that man was nothing but trouble for his uncle. More importantly, it's vital that we not be a Lot.
That's what I've always wondered, why Abram felt like he had to take Lot. Did he feel that responsible for him, that he took him along? And did he consult God before he took him? Because he had, Lot caused him all kinds of problems.
Couldn't take his house.
So,
when you think about that, Abraham's brother, Lot's daddy, died. So Abraham's daddy took Lot in. And then Abraham's daddy died. So since Abraham being he kept Lot, and he felt like it was his responsibility. And mother, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I know how Lot felt. I know how Abraham felt because Barbara, her dad, and me said, "Make sure you take care of my little baby." And he has a dad every now and then said, "Mama told you to take care of him," and I said, "She told you to listen to me too." And so I can only imagine the conversation that Abraham and Lot had sometimes. Because and what that shows us too now. It shows that it's not our job to push them away. You know, Abraham did all he could to came to the point where God said, now it's time to separate yourself. You know, but that is a good point. But notice now that the question comes in mind. God wants us to know the Messiah. And so he takes us through some situations like that. Cause we gotta have faith. And what the writer said here, if God if he laid out all the details, it wouldn't be no need for faith. And that's the problem church folks have today. Because they can't see it. So they say, well, I just don't see it. Well, God didn't tell you to see it. He totally believe it.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's a big difference right there. We got to learn to walk by faith and not, to be able to truly worship God. Really truly worship God. You gotta believe in the fact. Brother Lewis again, Brother Lord.
Amen.
I just saw that, in the exposition where it talked about where, where Abram settled.
Mhm.
That was about, in Lamre, it says about, 30 miles, southwest of his location, of where he was, then. So, and where Abram chose the land was high, and he could see the distance, so he said he could still
Yeah.
probably watch over Lot
Yeah.
from where he settled.
And what you said is so true because that's how he knew when Lot got in trouble. Because you know, he was still overseeing Lot, looking after them. Even though they were separated, but he still had a father's love for him to be concerned about. Because after he separated, and Lot got in trouble, he left him alone. But he was still, that's still his son. That's still, no matter how bad he done, you know, that's still his brother love.
Going back to what you talked about just a few seconds ago, I was online and came across a preacher preaching. He said, I don't understand God. I don't understand what God has in store. That is not my job. I trust God. So, you know, you say, if you know what's going on, you don't have no faith.
Yeah.
But, you know, you don't understand God understanding. You know what I'm saying? So they got to trust.
Right. You know, people say, well, do you know God's will? I know that he want me to tell a story. But do I know what he gonna do? I don't even know what I'm gonna do. That's you know. But me trying to figure God out is not my job. My job is just to listen to him and follow him. You know, and you're saying some nightmares by trying to worry about what God's gonna do next. If you ever played chess, you know, chess is easy, but chess is a thing. You got to really think concentrate chess. It is playing chess is like that. Mother,
well, I was just saying something about what Brother Love said, and I'm guilty sometimes. And I was just wondering what anybody else would say about the situation. He was saying that I don't understand. Well, now, there's times. And I'm talking about me, my life, that things go on, and I'm not trying to get beyond God, and I'm not trying to question him, because I have faith and I believe that he's going to work it out, whichever way, you know. But how do we maybe not have so much, because there's times that I say, I don't understand it, Lord. I mean, I'm talking to the Lord. I don't understand it, Lord. And I want to know, is it wrong for me to say that?
No.
You know,
The songwriter said it, we'll understand it better by and by. There's some things that what God does, we don't understand. You know, let's be real.
You got to trust.
Why would God, you know, God allow God the king to be killed instead of letting somebody else be killed? You know, we don't understand that, but that's God's will. And we just gotta learn to trust him. You know, there's gonna be always things in life that happen. You know, why does God allow the good people to die at an early age and let them rascals stay on the street? I mean, go ahead,
the thing is, life as we know it goes against our nature. You know, we see things happen. It's a natural thing for us to respond. You know, if somebody hurts you, you want to hurt them. But the Bible tells us to act differently.
That's right.
And that's where what the Bible tells us, that we fight within ourselves first, and then we fight with what we deal with. Because our nature wants to respond to what's happening to us. But we have to, and that's an emotional thing. We have to quell that emotion, because and that's what's so important about the Bible. The Bible teaches us how to do that. But we have to practice it so we become good at it. Because if you're not good at a thing, when something happens to you, you're gonna get beat. You know, but the more you practice it, then the stronger you become at it. So when we pray for God to show us, to quench this spirit that I want to react, I want revenge, like Abram did. He had it all. He didn't have to give Lot anything. But he humbles himself to spare controversy. It's like, well, I'm the one God promised me. He didn't promise Lot. So am I gonna worry about what Lot wants, or I'm gonna be concerned with what God has for me?
That's right, that's right.
But that is something, well,
You have to practice
I
it though. It's
understand,
not,
but
it's not easy.
practicing,
It's not
really
easy, yeah.
makes me, I understand what you're saying.
That's life.
It's
Because,
a practical solution too, because you can, everybody always say you have to practice, and you do,
Yeah.
but
Pray.
doubt
Well,
comes
yeah,
in so many
that's
different
That's right,
forms.
that's what I was.
That doubt can come, but the solution to all of that, pray,
Well, that's,
read your word,
Yeah.
And it still
pray,
might not work out.
listen to gospel
What
music.
do you want me to do?
you know, cause even if you pray, well, I appreciate
Yeah.
what you're saying, I
Yeah,
really do.
it still might not work
And
out.
sometimes it still may happen,
Yeah.
but that's a good,
And it's
I'm
always
taking
gonna
in
happen.
everything, you know.
So
But-
this is where it's at. Faith.
Will.
See, regardless how God, we don't know how God does answer our prayer.
Yes,
We,
right.
we don't know, but His will be done. Now, what we gotta understand is, as we pray and study God's word, to understand that His grace is sufficient. That even though I don't understand what's going on right now, it ain't no different than you going to the doctor. Now, I took my to the doctor, I guess it was about 8 years ago, and the doctor told him, AT took him actually, this time, the doctor told him he had the Lou Gehrig disease. It was the longest ride home from 18 years old, said him live. And but then 3 months later, the doctor said, I made a mistake. Yeah. So, but the damage already been done for 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what said. We put our trust in man so much that we don't want to question man. But here, we can't trust a God that has never lied to us. Never. Tony, I know you had your hand up. Now you go. I'm gonna get cut off, man.
Oh no. One of the things that you said earlier was so profound to me because I see so many people is not listening.
Mm-hmm.
It's listening is so very, very important because we don't listen. All the answers are there, but we don't listen.
That's right. Exactly. So we had a Bible discussion this past week on anger, and we talked about anger. That's an emotional thing, and if you read over in the Bible, it talks about anger is just as bad as murder. Because when we think about it, see, he talks about, I think it's over in Matthew, 5th chapter, 27 word. He says rapper and food. In that term rapper, he said he's talking about your intelligence. But when he talks about food, he talks about your character. And that's why he said we shouldn't call people, because we shouldn't address people in such a way. That's just like, when he was saying, that's just like murder itself. And what I'm getting at is that many times our emotions get the best of us. Even in that doubt situation, we allow now that emotion get the best of us. And that's why we have to go back and check our faith file. Check God's track record. He said he did it then, he'll do it again. And so doubt is human nature. You know, y'all, some of y'all probably the Thomas family, doubting Thomas. But that's okay. But just learn to trust God. And the only way you can, because faith is a muscle. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. So you got to learn to use that faith, to trust God each and every day. And as you trust God, you'll grow spiritually. And that's what's wrong with the church. We you know, it's like I get texts every seem like 3 hours a day about who I'm voting for.
Yeah. All caps.
Yeah. I said I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna vote, but I'm okay. Because whoever wins, it's not. I'm still gonna to the Eagles. You know, I'm not worried. I'm not gonna get caught up in this campaign, this election, worried about if she don't win, what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's only in God's hands.
Right.
See, that's where I'm at. my wife gets mad at me. You know, he used to get mad at me at work. My wife, she said, "You don't worry about nothing." I said, "Some things is out of my control."
That sound like joy.
You know, it's a gravity issue.
Yeah.
We had a fire one day at work. Everybody running around screaming and stuff. I said, "Won't y'all be quiet? Let me get this thing under control." I mean, because we worry about things that we have no control of.
Yeah.
If the wood is on fire right now, and then we can do about call the fire department. We ain't got no hose in pipe, we ain't got no buttons. And then we can do, we call the fire department and move our cars.
Yeah.
And that's how life is. You got to learn to put it in the hands of who is able to take care of it. And that's all. Any question, comments? I mean, it's Tim.
The Bible tells us you can be angry. He says, but don't sin.
Don't sin.
All right.
Don't go to bed with that.
All right.
Yeah, in other words,
Yeah.